Years ago when John Robb interviewed us, straight after we finished, don't do this. It's alright,
He has a peculiar way of laughing, John Robb.
He does. He's quite. When he's on stage, he's quite sinister, and then you get him off stage, and he's lovely.
I think he's got a very unsettling way of laughing, and someone told me that they find it a bit annoying that he always wants to take his shirt off. Any opportunity to show off how well made he is.
He's better made than Iggy Pop.
He's better made than most folk. Yes.
He's not a bad looking lad.
Yes.
Ladies and gents, I'm here with Carl.
Hello.
From CUD. We've literally had 15 minutes just before we came on to actually cobble this together.
We're very good friends. We met yesterday.
Yeah. I was drunk. You were pretty drunk.
We thought we knew each other, and we will know each other very well. Pardon? He's going to. I know that.
My birthmark will come out later. So Carl from CUD, how did you start out?
Well, we were a project. We were all at art college, and the guy that taught us was the singer in Free Johns, John Hyatt, and he wanted to expand the boundaries of rock music. So he got artists to make music together, but there was a faulty 4-track cassette player, and maybe one guitar, and a Casio VL tone or something. So he messed around for a few days. He still says that he formed our band. I spoke to him recently, and he still tells people that. But then we found a drum kit in the street. A squat had been busted, and all the stuff was over the road. And we advertised for a drummer who said he could play drums, and he was lying, but we couldn't tell. And
it's generally the way with drummers.
And then that was it. And then we did a tape, I think on a cassette player, all of us standing different distances from the cassette machine, sent it to John Peel, and got a session the next day. Pretty much the next day. Yes.
John Peel. Now the thing is with John, I mean obviously he was the man at the time. If you could get on the radio with John Peel, that was the thing.
But he'd the day after we posted the tape, he said, I'm tired of this huge heap of tapes I have at home. I don't listen to any of them, and there's thousands coming through the post box every single day. And he said, from now on, I'm just throwing all of those away, and everything that arrives tomorrow, I'm going to play and give it a good listen. And obviously at that moment, 30,000 people sent tapes in, but ours was already there. And we got listened to, I think he said to us it was his second tape that he listened to.
That's nice.
And he gave it to us. And then when the band turned up to see me the next day, because they came one at a time over a few hours, I didn't want to tell them the story one at a time. So I waited till they were all there, and then consequently they didn't believe me. They thought, well, how can he hold that story in and not be giving it out? So they just thought it was all bullshit, basically. So I rang up John Peel to say, we're not doing the session, guys. Thanks for the offer, they don't want to do it. And at that point they all went, that's the point they all realised I was telling the truth.
Right. Now, one of the things I wrote down here is what's it like having a diarist as a bassist?
We have a bass player who he's kind of like Bill Wyman. He collects everything we do, keeps everything we're given. He writes everything down. If you stay at his house, if you stay in his house and you get put in a spare room, there's journals all over the place, and it's got the month written next to him. And then obviously you can't help yourself. You pick one out and have a look, and it says what you did or what he thinks you were doing at that particular moment. If you're with a woman, it says, Carl thinks he'll get on with that woman. He obviously won't.
See, as a band,
things like that are in it.
I'm that guy in our band. I'm always the one that has recorded to every other gig we've done.
It's handy that he has recorded facts, but when he records your opinion on things, it's a little bit weird. Carl was eating a meal. He obviously didn't enjoy it. Things like things like that.
So having Samuel Pepys in the band.
Yeah, he does nothing. He doesn't say anything about himself either. That's probably makes him a bit like the opposite. I don't know what that sounds like. But yeah, he doesn't say anything about himself. He doesn't say anything. He has no opinion or emotional response to anything. But we all have ones that he sees.
So you get his opinion on everything without him actually having the opinion.
Yeah, that'll be what it is. Yeah, you're right.
Now I understand. Obviously, you and John, who runs the bandstand, have known each other quite some time.
I met John when he was about 14. We were doing a gig in Harlow at the Square, and I believe that John wasn't allowed into the venue, being 14, and he came round the back of the building, maybe even up the fire escape, knocked on the window, and we let him through the window, and he enjoyed the show. And then we didn't think anything of it until about 15 years later. He rings us and says, I hear you're doing a gig. I'll drive you, I'll book the shows, I'll put you up, I'll do all the teching, and I'll do it for free. And we just thought, well, I just thought personally, I thought he was mad. I thought, who's this guy? He's mad. And I wrote an email to our bass player saying, I've read that. That guy is some fucking weirdo, he asked me. Cheers, but thanks. And it was one of those emails where John was copied in. So I got a response from John saying, I am that effing weirdo, and here's my story. But it was really cool. After the tour finished, he rang me up about a month later. He had all the money for every single show in his pocket, the entire tour. So he had a huge bulge on his trouser pocket, like this. And a couple of nights, well, in Liverpool, I found him after the show. I found him in a club. He was asleep with a pocket full of money like that. And someone had stuffed an empty bottle of Jack Daniels in his mouth. He was just lying on his back with his empty bottle of Jack in his mouth. But anyway, then about a fortnight after the tour, we've got paid and everyone's happy. He rings me up and he says, I've just found 500 quid. I think it might be yours. I just said, keep it. Because he didn't get paid a single penny for the tour. It was like, that seemed like the only way of paying him. John Bonas. That's the guy there. What's in here? Wouldn't you like to know? Oh, sorry, that's why you asked.
Sheep's blood.
It's wine. It's wine. It's wine.
Actually, it is.
The blood.
She's blown it down.
It's wine.
It's a nice wine, but
It's Lidl's own brand Bordeaux, £3.49.
you know what? Just for the benefit of the front row, 1 minute. I'm gonna sample. What I don't even know what this is. Shall we sample it?
What's in there? Is it mushroom tea?
You wouldn't get this with John, would you?
What is it? I will have some. If you have something, you don't get like a shivering fit almost
nice.
immediately.
That's a nice thing. It's got a bit of a coffee flavour.
Tequila.
Is that what it is?
Coffee tequila.
Coffee tequila.
I can only offer you warm
That's beautiful.
No, that's very nice.
The great thing about obviously this impromptu interview, I've written everything I could down in 15 minutes. I've just got John Bonus, and then there's an arrow that just says house smells of dogs.
That was something about John. Sorry, I was just thinking about LSD. Reminded me of when we played a gig in San Francisco. Just before I went on stage, the man who said to me, "Here, this is the way to the stage." His hands were about this big, and his body was about that big. And I just thought, "Oh well, I'm in America, or something." I really didn't think much of it. And I went on stage, and I was having a really strange time. And our drummer said to me, "What are you doing? You're having a strange time." And I said, "Yes." And we just thought, honestly, we thought it was the water. We just thought it's San Francisco. It's the water. I think I was probably fiddled with, wasn't I? I think so. I think I was. It was pretty weird, though. I tell you, it was weird. And then after the gig, I went for a drive with this woman round San Francisco who had a club, and she drove us around her car, and I was fiddling around, and she had a gun in the front, which I thought was a bit weird because I was tripping like a loon. And then she took us to the club that she owned, and it was closed because it was very late. And we just put on records in a nightclub and helped ourselves to the bar. It was brilliant. So that was just
Always a winner.
just you know, you have those little kind of memories.
You know when our band actually escalate to that level? Just ring me.
I'd love to.
Okay, straight question, Vic
Yeah.
or Bob?
Oh, I think it's got to be. Oh. I was so wanting to say Bob, but
Oh, you wouldn't let it lie.
Man with a stick.
I think Bob. I think Bob. You know, Bob is the
Why
one.
Bob?
Bob is the one. You think? Why do you think's up with Vic? Is he?
Bob's the pisshead, what he's funny.
I've helped Bob home when he's been like in a state, but he's gentlemanly when he's like that in that way. I think
I've been there.
Bob is nice.
Did
You're
you
like
like
that.
Vic home?
Yeah. Shall I take you home when you get in that state? Okay.
I wouldn't. He lives in Stoke.
For anybody that was at the back, he just said no.
If I was
wouldn't.
in
He
Stoke,
lives in Stoke. Highlights.
Buddy? Has it? Oh, he has, hasn't he? Yeah. Yeah. All gyms around the country feel offended by that, don't they? Yeah. 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 I agree with you.
This is mental. This is like a conversation with about 4 people in front of at least 200 people.
Yes.
Last question.
Yeah, okay.
Highlights of the whole CUD career.
Well,
What would you say?
There have been many highlights.
Other than today. And
Other than today. Well, today will be a highlight. Tomorrow, you know, I think you always look back on stuff and think it's better when it's done. But my highlight was when we went to Poland at a time when all the bands in Leeds, while we were away from Leeds, every single band got signed because it was like some kind of A&R invasion. But we were in Poland getting paid petrol and like $10. We'd get paid a barrel of petrol each day. Because our van broke down every morning, we'd have to roll the petrol from wherever it was to our van and then literally pour it into the van via. We didn't have a funnel, we had a newspaper rolled up. We'd have to roll it, pour it through newspaper, and it'd go all over us, and we'd stink of diesel all day. But even though we shared hotels with Russian army people, even though we got threatened by people with shovels and stuff.
You did Poland, didn't you?
Yeah, it was just after the Berlin Wall came
As
down.
the wall came down.
Yeah. Pardon? Stoke's not dissimilar to Poland, but I think you have to go like the wall coming down for the similarities to really strike home. But yeah, it was just after the Berlin Wall came down. It was about 4 days after the wall came down, and already in Germany they were like bored. They were like pissed off. They'd already started making jokes about how shitty it is that the walls come down, and like why can't we rebuild it? And when we arrived and we went there in the middle of the night to bang bits off the wall, there was like people shouting at us like, "Fuck off! Leave the fucking wall alone! I'm trying to get some sleep." and we got shot at by a Russian.
Were they all Geordie?
For like being near the wall, you know, like everything was like back to, you know, being bored. But it was good. It was cool. We drank loads of sweet Russian champagne as we crossed into Poland. That was nice. Yeah, but Russian champagne. I eating bourgeois, honestly.
You mentioned the cheese in Poland as well.
Cheese in Poland. It might be different now, but in Poland, if you went to somewhere and said like I'm a vegetarian, they'd say yes, vegetarian. They'd give you this big load of meat, like stuff, and you'd be thinking in it, and there'd be like bits of liver and sausage, and they go, "It's not meat. It's made from meat." And they just had no concept. We stayed actually similarly. We stayed in a anarchist place in Berlin on the way there, and that was the same. Vegetarian breakfast was like sausages. It just didn't mean they didn't give you like raw meat. That's all they meant by vegetarian. At least back then. Yeah, it's changed now, I guess. Yes. But in Poland, we went to a supermarket on the way back, and we were making sandwiches, and we wanted to buy some cheese to make the sandwiches. We got to the counter, and because we were all vegetarians, like we bought the entire shop's cheese, which was only like a piece of cheese about 3 inches by 4, you know, in a slab. But presumably everyone else behind us, because we got really bad looks for doing it. Everyone else wanted like a thin sliver for like, I don't know what for, you know. But we
nice
pissed off
cheese?
the
Is it
whole
nice
town.
cheese? Is it
No,
nice cheese?
Polish cheese doesn't taste it much. It's kind of like,
Edammy, rubbery.
yeah, it's like Edam,
I
yeah.
think that's officially
Sorry,
the
Steve.
best quote of the whole interview. Polish cheese, it doesn't taste too much.
Yeah, but you know, even more interesting is that this woman here knows that it tastes just like Edam. and she's correct to say Edam because it doesn't taste anything like Gouda, which are quite similar.
Cheese connoisseur. Ladies and gents, give it up for Craig.
Thank you very much. And we'll see you soon. I think
It's been a pleasure.
it has been a pleasure, hasn't it? We've got
Have you ever played Scunthorpe Baths? Have you played Scunthorpe Baths?
I would have drank Scunthorpe.
No, we never played Scunthorpe. Played Cleethorpes, not Scunthorpe. Played Doncaster. I played fucking everywhere. Jesus Christ. But not Scunthorpe. I would love to go to Scunthorpe. Is that where you're from?
Played Scunthorpe.
No, you were just saying.
He's black country.
Aye.
It's block country.
Anyway, I will leave you now for. Oh, we can. I don't think we can today. I heard a nice song. We've got a lot of nice songs for you. Hope you like, yeah.
do we do the thing seen as John? Are we ready, or or have we got more time?
Oh.
How long we got?
Someone coming on the stage.
Well, if you want, we'll throw questions out to the audience. Ladies and gents, is there anybody that would like to ask Craig any questions?
Craig? What's your name?
Sorry.
Has anyone want to ask Craig questions? He keeps saying it, you notice that all through this.
Too much.
He's got like a
Sorry, Carl.
That's Keela. Is that Keela?
I don't believe you've just done that.
I believe it.
Is there anyone who wants to ask
You're not part
Would you like to ask Carl some questions?
I'm Craig and that's my brother.
We used to have an onstage dancer. Incidentally, he was called Craig. And I cannot think instantly of a funny story about him. There's quite a lot. One of the stories about Craig that was quite funny, he was our tour manager for a long time. He and I went to see the Inspire Carpets. And we got to the venue and we bumped into the manager and someone out of the band, I don't know who it was. And Craig says, we're really happy to be coming to the gig. Are you doing that one that goes, and the guy says, yeah, we're doing that one, yeah. And it was like a genuine Spiral Carpets tune, I don't know which one it was. And then I said, what about the one that goes,
That's all of it, isn't it?
and then, for the next 10 minutes, we just made up any noise we could think of. With the Spiral Carpets manager and their tour manager just going, yeah, maybe.
I want to hear Craig's side of the story.
I get the.
Yeah, Joe, that's exactly the one. Yeah, we did about 30 of those.
Craig's not here to defend himself.
Craig Cooper, he was called Craig Cooper. He looked just like, he kind of looked like an old Liam and a young Noel. He was like both of them at the same time. And he was from Manchester, Gorton, so he was from the same part of Manchester Oasis from. And he used to wear, he started wanting to be like Oasis, so or playing off on it. So he'd wear a Brother t-shirt and all that stuff. And then he'd sit in a pub in Leeds and girls would come up to him and say, wow, Noel or Liam or whoever, whatever you are, what are you doing here in this shitty little pub? And he'd say, waiting for Carl to come, Carl out of CUD, I'm waiting for him to come to see him. And then I'd come, because I'd arranged to see him. And they'd be like, fucking hell, it is Noel out of Oasis. And we used to go, sometimes on more than one occasion, we went to hotels and we'd pretend that Oasis had booked the hotel, and I'd be his PA, and we'd demand a free room. We'd demand the room that Creation had booked for us. And when they hadn't booked it, we'd say, what fucking hell is going on? I'd just throw a fucking crazy wobbly and smash things, and I'd threaten to call people up and cancel everything that was happening in the future. And then they'd ring a number that I'd give them, and obviously because it was 3 a.m, no answer, because it was pre-mobile phone days, and they'd say, there's no answer, and I'd say, what do you fucking will expect? It's 3 a.m, and that's how I talked to them all. I was like a real arsey bastard, because I was a record company executive, and then they'd give us a room, and when they didn't give us a room with a free bar, I'd say, where's the effing free bar? It's what we're paying for, you effing this and that, and we used to get free bars all the time with Craig. You did ask about Craig.
Was it Aldi free bar or brands?
It was proper free bar, like proper ones. With one of those fridges where the slide thing goes on it. It's one of those.
I've never been to one of those.
Oh, you shouldn't. It's really expensive. And also, if you take the drink out of the bar, look at it and put it back in, you still get charged for
We
it.
got charged for 6 tickets in Manchester.
Yeah,
for that.
yeah, it's crap. It's really rubbish. Don't ever do it.
Yeah.
Just drink the fridge.
Drink the fridge. We weren't very classy. We used to often empty the entire fridge and put it in a pillowcase and run off of it in the morning. We weren't very cool.
Remember like in the Down Jones and take the bottle out and put a bag of sand
Weigh it up. Make sure.
I like this guy. He's cool, isn't he?
This is my friend Addy, who's come down just to heckle me.
All right.
So
Have you got a question for Carla?
Well, he knows full well that I'm from Barnsley, but I'm obviously not Parkinson.
Ask him about Barnsley Chop.
Barnsley Chop.
A Barnsley Chop.
A Barnsley Chop. Oh, I know about a Barnsley
He
Chop.
thinks I'm making it up.
No, Barnsley Chop's a thing.
Yeah, Barnsley Chop. Ooh, much prized. Barnsley Chop.
Have you played Barnsley?
Just once, I believe.
What was it like?
Long time ago. Can't remember.